Buenos días, chicos. Hoy vamos a hablar del futuro. Y hay dos cosas que necesitamos saber. Primero, cómo formar el futuro y segundo, cómo usarlo. So, the Spanish future tense, as you already know, is formed with one set of endings for every single verb. Here they are. Has, a, hemos, es, an. Note the accents. Sí, son importantes. Si no tienen acentos, no es el futuro. Remember that the infinitive is the basis of the forms here. There are a few irregulars, which we will see in just a minute. Everybody has an accent except for the nosotros form. So, check it out. Tomar is going to be tomaré, tomarás, tomará, tomaremos, tomaréis, tomarán. Comer y vivir. The same thing. Remember that the same endings for all three kinds of verbs, and make sure you have those accent marks. And you've got to say it with the accent on the very last syllable as well. So it's tomaré instead of tomare. Tomaré instead of tomare. Tomaré. Muy bien. Here are our irregular verbs. This time we're going to change the stem a little bit, but this is nice because it's the same both in the future and the conditional. And once again, the endings are the same for everybody. We can group them into three categories. Okay. The first category, we drop two letters to form the stem, which is going to become dir and ar. So, decir becomes dire, dirás, dirá, diremos, diréis, dirán. And hacer becomes haré, harás, hará, haremos, haréis, harán. The second kind are when we drop the E. So these verbs, we just drop the last E and bring the R next to the consonant. So haber becomes habr, poder, podr, querer, quer, and saber, saber. So habré, podré, querré, and sabré. The last ones are these guys that have the D. So poner is going to become pondre, salir, saldre, tener, tendre, and venir, vendre. So pondré, pondrás, pondrá, saldré, saldrás, saldrá, tendré, tendrás, tendrá, vendré, vendrás, vendrá, and so on. Okay, don't forget you can pause at any time if you need to go back and write those things down. Just make sure you remember which verbs are the irregular ones. There are not that many. Let's talk about uses, and this is where it's going to get a little bit trickier because we're not going to use the future tense to talk about just will, things that we will do. There are a couple different ways that we use the future in Spanish that are very handy and also that we cannot translate directly into English. So pay attention. First, the obvious. We will describe what will happen. Just like we do in English. I will study in the university. I will study Spanish in college. Remember that we often contract I and will or the subject in will in English. So I'll, you'll, he'll, she'll, etc. So, por ejemplo, John will arrive at 10 o'clock. Juan llegará a las 10. They will not go to bed until midnight. Ellos no se acostarán hasta la medianoche. Remember that just like any other negation, we have to put the no in front of the verb. And also with any other pronouns, we have to put those before the conjugated verb. Acostarán is our conjugated verb. She will visit you next month. Ella te visitará. Oops, there should be an accent on that last A, Miss Dexter. El próximo mes. We will run a marathon. Nosotros correremos un maratón. And you will buy a house. Tú comprarás una casa. Here's the tricky part. To talk about things that are going to happen in the immediate future, in the very near future, we use either the present tense or ir plus a plus infinitive. So be careful. We're going to use the future tense to describe things that are going to happen not in the immediate future. Things that we will do next year. Things that we will do in 10 years, things that will happen over the summer. We use the present tense a lot in Spanish to describe what's going to happen in the near future. Nosotros vamos a Starbucks esta tarde. We are going to Starbucks this afternoon. This is going to happen in the near future. There's no need to use the future tense because it's very strong. Termino mi trabajo esta tarde. I will finish my paper this afternoon. Just use present tense if it's going to happen sometime very soon. We can also use ir plus a plus infinitive here. Voy a preparar la cena. I am going to. And all it is expressing is that sense of going to do something. Listen to this one very carefully. The idea of willingness, sometimes expressed with English future, meaning with will plus a verb, cannot be expressed with future tense. You have to use the actual verbs that express willingness, like querer in the present tense to express the same idea. ¿Quieres ayudarme con mi tarea? Will you help me with my homework? In other words, this will is not the future tense. Just because it says will, it does not mean it is the future tense. This will is not the future. It's just expressing a desire. ¿Me traes una galleta? Will you bring me a cookie? This is something that we cannot translate in Spanish. Okay, the second one is to express probability or conjecture in the present. We use it to express statements like I wonder, probably, might. We don't translate these. We just use the future tense. So, if someone says serán las 8, it's probably 8 o'clock. If I ask you, ¿qué hora será? Oh, what time is it? I wonder what time it is. And you don't know for sure, you might say, serán las 8. Felipe estará enfermo. Felipe might be sick, like when somebody is absent from class. And I say, ¿dónde estará Felipe? I'm not saying where will he be. I'm saying where is he? Where might he be? ¿Dónde estará Felipe? Or, ¿vendrá él a la fiesta? I wonder if he will come to the party. It's in a question, so we get that sense of wonder, and we're using the future to emphasize that. Once again, we're not going to translate words like I wonder, probably, or might. You can't do it. You have to figure out other ways to do it. In this case, it's going to be the future tense, and it expresses the same idea. I wonder if she's from Tennessee. We're not going to translate I wonder. ¿Será ella de Tennessee? It probably will rain today. We're not going to translate probably. Just use the future. Lloverá hoy. I wonder how much it's worth. Don't translate wonder. ¿Cuánto valdrá? She probably will come to the party. Ella vendrá a la fiesta. It's probably 9 o'clock. Serán las 9. Remember, what are we not going to translate? Yep, things like wonder, probably, and might. Muy bien. The last thing is fun, and it's like a command. And we use this the same way that we do in English. It's just to express a really, really strong command. So, when your mom says, limpia tu cuarto, normally you probably don't get up and do it right then. But if she says, Mackenzie, you will clean your room, you're going to get up and do it right then. So we're going to use the future tense to express a strong, strong, strong command. So, limpia tu cuarto is like, okay, great, I'll do it later. But when she comes down the stairs and says, Savannah, limpiarás tu cuarto, that means you better get up and go do it right this second. So, instead of just the simple command, we use the future tense. Limpiarás. Here's your review. Remember that we use the future tense to express the following. Something that will happen some time from now, not the immediate future. If you want to express near future, use present or ir plus a plus infinitive. Conjecture or probability. We do not translate things like wonder, probably, might be. The listener will understand you by the context. A strong command to someone. Use simple commands for not so strong meaning, and the future as a command for something that you want someone to do right this second. So, in your notes, I want you to write some examples of each of these things to express what the uses that we just discussed. That way I will know how well you are understanding this. If you have questions on them, please make a note of it so that I can help you. Okay, muy bien hecho. Hasta mañana.